Growing up in the UK,
prominent
black figures.
To me,
when I think of prominent black figures
that stand out for me,
past and present,
big up Miss Dynamite. When she let out her album, I think growing up as a young black girl, it was one of the first black British albums where it talked about being more than just, you know, a hot girl on road, and she gets a lot of respect for that.
For me, 5-star.
Dave,
Omar.
I cannot forget to mention
Stormzy.
I got 2 sisters, 1 black mum, they raised the prince.
just everything he's done as a musician, but not just as a musician, but as a businessman.
Being the first solo artist to stage Glastonbury, that's a huge, huge achievement.
The Murky Books. He's done the grant as well, so where he's given a grant to black uni students who are going to Oxbridge. And I think that's just, it's unheard of, but it's very, very needed in our community. And it's good to have someone that, you know, people can look up to. They're using their wealth for good and to spread awareness, because Stormzy, again, he's not shy to speak his mind.
When you think about the commercial success of Dave and Stormzy in particular, they've got a lot to lose if they say certain things which could be deemed career limiting, but you know, they're more than happy to do it. And I think probably it's impressive that they've been received so well in giving their message. So it just goes to show, you know, you've got to be authentic about what you think about. Then also you have George the Poet. And when you think about the likes of George the Poet and Akala in particular, they articulate themselves so well that they can stand up to anybody when it's a political discussion.
Akala.
Every person in the UK loves Akala.
And I'm Uncle Akala, you know me, art professor, art an MC.
He is a rapper, but he's also spoken word, and he's also an activist, and he just shares and shines so much light into situations and issues that we, I guess, unless you've been taught, wouldn't know about it.
I appreciate people of great intellect who know how to convey their thoughts and feelings.
He's like sensei.
He is a great orator.
He's not, what's the word, arrogant.
So I learned a lot about Black history through these people and especially through Akala.
The founding fathers of Jamaican independence were not Jamaicans in Jamaica. They were Jamaican Americans exposed to Black American radicalism in 1920s Harlem. And when they first said Jamaica should be independent from the British, Jamaicans in Jamaica thought they were crazy. Now, both the major parties in Jamaica have tried to retroactively claim the credit for Jamaican independence, but actually began with Jamaican Americans radicalized in America. And so there's a long history of Jamaican Americans trying to fight in the Ethiopian army when the Italians invaded Ethiopia, a long history of Pan-African solidarity.
From a politics standpoint, you've got the likes of David Lammy.
I feel that he does represent, and he's not scared to speak his mind and be heard.
He's always defending people, you know, in our community, you know, you can't not think about him.
You've got Dawn Butler, who's our local MP.
Dawn Butler.
even people like Bernie Grant.
Bernie Grant.
People like Bernie Grant, Diane Abbott.
And it probably is a bit upsetting, the fact that she's probably had the most senior positions from a political standpoint and has real power. But, you know, in mainstream media, she's derided, and social media also. So it's really frustrating. I think I saw a stat which said that she received half of all hateful tweets in a given year were directed at her. And it's despicable.
I've never really been interested in politics because I didn't have that understanding, but to see Black women in politics and doing something that maybe before I wouldn't necessarily have paid attention, but they just having their presence there and speaking in a way that I understand has made me, you know, get more involved or just want to listen to what they have to say.
I can be quite an activist sometimes, so I like an opportunity to have a debate. And so somebody like Darcus Howe, who was very much a prominent figure.
Darcus Howe.
Leroy Logan. A lot of people might not have heard of him, but he's done a lot of work. You know, he's worked in the Metropolitan Police for a very long time. And yeah, he's been pushing a lot of the issues that our black men deal with in terms of stop and search and stuff like that. He's still a very active person even today when it comes to that.
The schools always give us, Mary Seacole.
When I found out about Mary Seacole, I was like, yes, okay. So yeah, she's definitely a prominent black figure.
The Lawrence family is also, I would say, prominent. And yeah, as a mother, Doreen Lawrence, without a doubt, she hasn't given up the fight for her son.
Tessa Sanderson.
Linford Christie, he was like Superman. I remember he was like one of the first celebs I ever met, and I was just in awe. And then you have people like John Barnes and Ian Wright, which obviously did so much for the football world.
Back in the sort of like 60s, 70s really, maybe more towards the 80s, any kind of black footballer was a prominent figure for me. And they had to undergo a lot of racism. So the fact that they went through that and continued in the game, for me, those are my heroes.
Marcus Rashford. For what he's doing with the whole, trying to feed the kids at school and stuff.
It just goes to show that if you've got the right ideas and you've got the right energy, there's so much you can do if you use your platform in the right way.
Like, I've definitely got to rate him for what he's doing, making Boris listen, because Boris will happily have these kids starving out here.
It's really important to have people that are coming from grassroots, emerging, doing their thing and making it relatable. Fuller Benjamin, especially because of her work with children presenting on TV.
We need to protect John Boyega at all costs. I think he is so important for us. Like, he is very vocal about black issues and he's unapologetic with it. He's not offensive, but he's definitely going to stand his ground and he's not going to compromise himself for anybody or for anything. And that's what I love about John Boyega.
I need you to understand how painful it is to be reminded every day that your race means nothing.
He's very much about protecting black women and promoting and uplifting black women, which I feel a lot of people, they seem to forget about us. And John Boyega, literally, he holds us up, he brings us up, and he is a national treasure.
Black men, we need to take care of our black women. Yeah. We need to take care of them. They are ours. They are our hearts. They are our future. We cannot demonize our own.
Amen. Thinking off the top of my head, you have people like Elba.
Just growing up seeing Reggie Yates, the transformation that he's made. I think he's definitely a prominent black figure in the UK.
I would also go in to say people like the likes of Michaela Cole, standing up for what she believes in, not letting anybody essentially say, oh no, we're not gonna do this. And she just said, all right, cool, let me do what I got to do. And she's released, an amazing drama that's on BBC Three, which is amazing.
Letitia Wright as well. I think her Black Mirror episode was the best, the absolute best. I think she's just such an amazing actress, and once again, seeing her transformation from when she first appeared in Top Boy to everything she's doing now up until, present day, the Small Axe series that she's in, amazing.
For my generation, these are the people that are pioneering and just making changes and positive changes, and I guess changes that black people haven't really had a chance to do.
Steve McQueen, the director.
Without him, a lot of stories wouldn't have been told, and 12 Years a Slave is an absolute masterpiece.
I talked about Trevor McDonald.
For me, it was quite, interesting to see a black person reading the news. He was one of the old bastions for me, who was on there looking at the TV, you see, father figure, that I could identify with reading the news in prime time, news at 10.
And Moira Stewart. And I had this real urge to be a newsreader. And so for me, those are very prominent figures.
Live Little and Galdem. I think Galdem is such a phenomenal organisation, and I think they've done a lot for modern British culture.
You have people like Zadie Smith, Mallory Blackman,
Candice Carty-Williams, Bernardine Evaristo, her Girl, Woman, Other. To see so many different representations of black women, I think I've never seen that before. So she definitely is up there for a prominent black figure in the UK.
There are some people doing great things with their podcasts. And there are two that I'd like to mention. We have the Receipts podcast, which is just absolutely hilarious. But I love the fact that they have no problem sticking to their roots and just giving it to us the way in which we would sit and give it to our friends. And another one, they're a bit I think they're just brand new, just as hilarious and just as informative. What the Podclot. I don't think people realise how exciting and liberating it is to see black women, in particular, because I'm a woman, but to see black women talking about things that we'd all love to talk about and being unapologetic for it, it's the whole champagne, screaming, fangirling, they get it all. Like, please keep it up because we need you.
People like Chunks and Young Philly and KSI, Harry Panero, they have huge followings and they are very influential. And it's great that from a comedic standpoint, they are there and the barrier to entry allows them to flourish.
I think black comedians are very important to British culture. Gina Yashere.
Yeah, she's just hilarious. I love her. And she's doing her thing. I'm proud of her doing what she's doing.
She's managed to get a show called Bob and Abishola, and she's got that aired in the US. And for a British Nigerian person to be doing that, I think that's fantastic.
Lenny Henry.
Judy Love. Still the older comedians that are still working the circuit, like Eddie Nesta, Robbie G, Curtis Walker, so all of the Real McCoy alumni.
For me, those are my heroes.
They are doing a lot of things to represent us in terms of pushing forward. And I think for me, they're the key figures in my headspace.
There's been a lot and we need to celebrate them more and make sure that, we use them as inspiration to, keep going.